also think it's different in some ways, but I'm reminded of that before. Yeah, and also like has more in quotes requirements of things that have to work in a specific way. Hello, welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me, Christian Rauchenwald, on this beautiful rainy and gray, I think we have Wednesday. What is it? It's July the 3rd. And as always, we're going to use this episode to take a look at my current position, my forecasts, or how I think certain stocks and indices are going to move in the near future, and my plans in terms of future adjustments to the positions I'm currently holding. But before we get to that, as always, the usual disclaimer applies. Everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. And last but not least, for everybody that's tuning in for the first time, you can find all the tools that I'm using in this video. So the charting software, the broker I'm using, the strategy I'm following, and so on, linked in the description down below. And the one thing I recommend for everyone is to check out the Elliott Wave Principal Asset that you can read for free online if you follow the link below, or order a physical copy like I did. Now, with that said, let's jump into it. So, and get rid of the overlay, and something just broke, I guess. No, it's working. Okay, just took a moment to go there. Now, yesterday we looked at GameStop, and my prediction for the week is that we are still going to be below 30. As far as the pattern goes, my assumption is that we have an ABC pattern here, which means we should still have a 5-wave pattern down. Yesterday, we already started to see this movement here. Yeah, like that's already up. What do we have today? Today is only this part. Yeah, so we started to see this movement here. And we had our stream around, where do we have our stream? Around here, 3:30 roughly. Yeah. And I already mentioned that I would expect to probably see a development of an ABC pattern where we might bounce on the 50% retracement of this potential 3rd wave. Now, we're in an interesting situation here because we went exactly here. So thinking about it a little bit further, from the visual aspect, I believe that this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to get wave 5 down. Now, that's from the visual aspect. However, it's also possible that this is in some form either A, B, C. Unlikely, because it's like would need the whole thing down, would need to be an ending diagonal to have a 3-wave pattern in the end. And it's also possible, what open widget? There, okay, there was a, no, it's working now. Okay, never mind. So, and it's also possible that this here is in some form 1, 2, and then 3 is, for example, here, 4, 5, so that the pattern here is finished, in which case we would be expecting 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then basically a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern here. Yeah. So in other words, right now, what we're waiting to see is if we break the 24.32, if that were to happen, it is likely, but not guaranteed. I mean, we're always talking probabilities, not certainties, that GameStop will not go lower. Maybe we already get to see it right now. Market is opening. On the other hand, if we don't break through the 24.32, this might be a set A, B, C, and this might right now be wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets us a little bit below 22.31 potentially. To finish a 5-wave move down, and from there we then would go up further. So much about GameStop. Now we asked the magic 8-ball that I got after seeing it in some other stream from Keith Gill. We asked it already on Monday and yesterday if it thinks GameStop will stay or finish the week below 30, and it agreed both times. GameStop below 30, yeah. So we'll ask today again, will GameStop finish the week below 30? And the answer is you may rely on it. So today it also still thinks it will be below 30. And with that, I mean, right now it looks like we already broke the 24.32. So which brings more credence. We'll have to see where we go from here. Yeah, it makes it not impossible, but unlikely for that still to be some ABC pattern unless our wave C plays out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we still have to keep an eye if we bounce on any of those levels that we have marked here. The most likely one, the 25.36 or 25.20 area, since we have two different, in quotes, I wouldn't say indicators, but usual suspects that point towards a turnaround here. So it's still possible that this is ABC, but what's not possible anymore is that wave C finished here. So yeah, that's good for all the shares that I'm holding. Technically, for me personally, this week a finish at $30.01 would be the best, or no, $29.99 would be the best possible outcome. Because then the shares that I'm holding in Interactive Broker would have the highest possible values without being called away, whereas the put option that I hold would still trigger and get me another 100 shares at around 24 point something. So we'll have to see. So those the $30 put option and the call option here. So the call option will have a maximum value of around 270. So theoretically, I could take the profit here, but I don't have anything I would want to sell as an alternative. So yeah, that much for now about GameStop. So we'll have to see how it develops a little bit further. I think long term it's gonna go up. So that's my long-term projection labeling. Short term, as said, there is a pattern where this is ABC and that need to be or have to be 5 waves down. And I'm not yet sure those 5 waves are finished. While it could be, as said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it really wouldn't look like a nice pattern, but it's possible that it is. So then other than that, we don't have any positions in SPY at the moment. Maybe zoom out a little bit here. We had short put options basically into this area here. Now with that strong movement up, and because we didn't break through that level here, it's very likely that this here is the next 1, 2, and now with wave 3 in progress, so I would expect SPY to reach a new all-time high. Yeah, I'm not gonna jump into that right now because as far as our margin requirements go and so on, we are already like, no, not tapped out, but like invested properly. So gonna pass on that, but I said, like, it looks like that was the entire correction here. Yeah, like I don't see, I mean, theoretically it could be A, B, C, but we would need to go a little higher here. Wave C could also make a new high if it's a flat correction and not a zigzag or something similar. And then we get a wave C down, but right now everything points more towards new all-time high here based on the pattern. Yeah, so that about SPY. And Chewy we had, where I mentioned that the 61.8 retracement would be a likely target. Now we'll see if we get to there. So if this would be, actually we didn't put the expansion here. So if we assume that from here to here we have a wave A and that's our wave B, then we can actually see that, yeah, like pretty much at 23 where we have the alert set, it would mark a, in quotes, perfect ABC pattern. So not much room there. I mean, it was almost at $40 and now we're at $24.76, but I think there's still a little bit downside before whatever pattern we have here. So that might either be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get wave 5, or that might already be 5 waves, and this is going to be wave 2, and then we get wave 3. So either way, I also think short term a little bit down and long term, then we go up from here. Now, other than that, my current positions, as you should know from previous episodes, is that I hold a Leaps call option for Grab, which is kind of like Uber, just mostly in Asia and so on. Yeah, there is still like 1.5 years or so to go, so nothing to worry about here. And then the rest of the stuff will expire on Friday. We'll see how it goes, but even if the even if the $30 put option expires in the money and we get another 100 shares assigned, considering my outlook for GameStop, I'm actually fairly okay with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sold the put option in the first place. Could have sold it a little better, but I mean, you'll always miss out on a few dollars. There is not never, but only very rarely perfect entry, perfect exit. Yeah, our GameStop shares are theoretically at a slight profit, but one has to consider we got them through a $30 put option. So while it considers the premium we received here, personally, I do not consider it premium. And the rest of the shares we have is compared to yesterday unchanged. Now, I don't think there's been any major update. At least I didn't notice anything. The big question would be for SPY. Where apparently me and the 8-ball up to yesterday were wrong, because yesterday, I mean, during our stream, which was, we had our stream here, yeah, but we were not that high yet, so we were somewhere in here. I actually assumed that we would get a push further down, but luckily I decided to stay out of it. But I also pointed out that only if or when we break that line would we have the confirmation for it. So yeah, if I would have entered here with a regular position, I would have put my stop loss here or here. But in this case, anyway, I decided to stay out of it. Now, one could assume it's possible that if we are in the next upwards impulsive pattern, that this is already maybe a finished 5-wave move with a retracement to come, and then the next move starts, or it's just not finished yet, and we get basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get a little bit more upside, small correction, next wave, yeah. So we're gonna keep an eye on it as usual during our streams, and maybe if I see a clear pattern where I expect it to change direction or do something else that we think might be beneficial for us, I might look then into getting the right options again. We can also take a look at NVIDIA. It's hovering around the 120 line. Yeah, now we basically went further down here. I think even with the naked eye, we can see here A, B, C, which means we would expect a move up. Now the question is, do we have A, B, C finished here, or did we have 5 waves? If we had 5 waves here, then this will be A, B, C, potentially up to, as we can see, 133. Although it doesn't have to go that high, we can see that, yeah, it should go higher than here. So it should go a bit above 130, and a perfect ABC pattern would be at 133, 134, yeah. So, and then from there, we could get the next push down. So that would be a big A, B, C pattern then. The alternative is we have the A, B, C pattern finished here, and that is the next 1, 2, and again, 1, 2, and then we get wave 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll go towards a new all-time high. And I'm having a hard time believing that, to be honest, because NVIDIA, in my opinion, is hugely overvalued. Yeah, and while everybody says no, things are different and so on, it's just like a fucking bubble waiting to burst. I mean, if we look at the monthly chart, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, so just last year at the same time, NVIDIA was worth half or a third of what it's worth now. And yeah, like maybe I'm just missing something, but personally I expect, based on the wave patterns as well, I think like if we just look here, that might be wave 1, wave 2, and now we have wave 3, and we should get a corrective wave 4. That's a substantial correction, and then a wave 5. Or we already have our 5th wave top here, and then we should get an even bigger correction that over some time takes us further down. Either way, I know most people disagree with that, and maybe we're not at the top yet. Maybe NVIDIA goes much higher before the whole thing bursts, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't go long personally. So, but you do you, of course. I'd rather wait for the right pattern to, yeah, like get put options. If we look here on the daily chart, it even looks like A, B, and now we are basically waiting for C. Although B is not really finished here, we can even here see the A, B, C pattern. So A, and then A, B, C, and then we get wave C. It would probably take us down to the $100 mark roughly or so, yeah. So I might be wrong as so often, or as, yeah, like, I mean, it's possible that I'm wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, yeah, and I think with that, we've already covered everything for today again. So since there are no questions in the chat, and I don't really feel the need to jump into any of the other stocks. We can check Beauty. There we had a, yeah, so there we now have our ABC pattern finished, potentially ABC, which might from here spark the next upwards movement. We can also, what we don't have, what we didn't do before, check the retracements. We would bounce right now through perfectly on the 38.2 retracement. So yeah, like visually, I'd suggest the correction here might be finished and we go up from here. And then it just depends if this whole thing was an ABC pattern, just in a like a counter move in the overall downwards pattern. In this case, we'd actually get to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and continue the downwards movement. Or if this is wave 1, wave 2, and that is the next wave 1, 2, and we get wave 3, 4, 5 for potentially huge upside. So it's going to be interesting. Right now, we would be at a very potential turnaround point for this corrective movement. We'll see how it turns out in the long run. Yeah. Yeah. UBS, we had put options earlier. We actually had them down here, and I think we got out somewhere here. We saw it had more downside. From the looks of it, that is a 5-wave pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means same principle, A, B, C, a little bit more upside, and then we should potentially see a further correction down. Might have to keep an eye on that from time to time to better decide if there is a potential entry for us or not. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. For the rest, we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, I'm going to use the rest of my day to do some other things and get some other things done. Yeah, the last thing, although we were wrong with that, we're going to still ask SPY. We haven't, or we didn't go higher yet, yeah, than 551. So we're going to repeat the question, will SPY go down? And cannot predict now. Okay, let's try again. Will SPY go down? Yes, definitely. Okay, so the 8-ball is very consistent with its supposedly random answers. But yeah, personally, based on the pattern, I don't think that it will go down, because if this would be a big ABC pattern, wave C should go higher than this point, and it would already bring us in the area where we would violate the pattern if we go higher than 551.12, unless it is a flat correction. In this case, this would need to be ABC, ABC, and then we get another ABC down with the strongest move. Possible, but in my opinion, unlikely. So yeah, that's it. Let's switch here. That's it. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, again, if you're new to Elliott Wave Theory, check out the book that you can read online for free by following the link down below. And if you're curious about any of the tools that you saw, then you can also find them linked down below. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see each other most likely tomorrow again, slightly before market open, with another episode